Good morning, beautiful people. You're welcome to the sports segment of the weekend show. I'm Ayo Adams, and I'll be giving you some of the major headlines and highlights from the world of sports, ranging from football to basketball and every other thing that we have to say in the reigning sports. We'll start with the Super Falcons of Nigeria as they will commence their title defense on Monday in Morocco, Rabat. But meanwhile, the Moroccan country hosting the African Women World Cup would start tomorrow. Super Falcons coach Randy has hailed his players for their strong mentality, and also he has thanked the fans for their support so far, while soliciting for more support when the team begins their journey at the 2022 Africa's Women's Cup of Nations on Monday. The tournament will commence tomorrow, with Morocco hosting Burkina Faso in the Open at 9 p.m. tomorrow. Nigeria have established themselves as a force in the women's football, and it's been a great improvement for them so far, as they've been one of the best teams so far in the tournament. They've won 9 out of 11 tournaments. That's the Super Falcons of Nigeria, as they join their quest to continue the source for glory in Morocco and Rabat. Joining me in the studio to discuss some of the major sport highlights, it's Matthias. Good morning, Matthias. Is returning back on the show. How are you doing?
Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning. Let's get started with the Super Falcons. They've been 9-time champions out of 11 at the African Women Nations Cup. They will kick off their first game against the Banyana of South Africa on Monday by 9 p.m. How do you think they will do?
Well, the Super Falcons have established themselves as the most dominant side in African women football, winning 9 out of 11. I think that is something very remarkable.
Yeah, definitely.
The Banyana of South Africa, they're also a good side. We went against them in the final, the 2018 AFCON final. So this is just like a repeat. So I think they'll want to come for a revenge. But I think our girls have enough to do the job.
I mean, in the Super Falcons ranks, their players consist such as Asisat Oshoala, one of the most brilliant female footballers that the African continent has ever seen, also the world continent has ever seen. Among the Barcelona team who won the Champions League. I mean, they went last season in the Femini Premier Liga without losing a single game. Addition, and also Ajibade Rashidat, who plays for Atletico de Madrid, the female side. And then we have Ebi also. How do you think these major players that have international breadth can influence the game?
Well, Assistant has been brilliant ever since she made her debut for the Super Falcons. Last season, she had a very good season, scoring 20 goals for the Barcelona feminine side. She was their top scorer.
Yes.
So having her in the team, we know what Assistant can do. So we don't need to say much about Assistant. Assistant is a very instrumental player for the Super Falcons.
Definitely she is.
Then we have other household names who have been there, like the Opara Noses, the CSK Moscow striker Francisca Odega.
Yeah.
They have been involved for I think for the past 5 years now in the Super Falcons, and they are still here in the Super Falcons squad that will play on the 4th of July. So I think this tournament is something we don't need to say too much. We expect the best from our girls. We expect them to win the trophy.
And like I said, we expect the best from the girls. We expect them to win the trophy and bring it back home. That's a 10th time if they do so in this edition that will kick off tomorrow. I mean, just to walk you through again, the Super Falcons hold the record of the most AFCON titles, winning 9 out of the last 11 women's championship. They will continue their title defense against the Banyana of South Africa, with Burundi and Botswana also left to play afterwards, as host Morocco kick off the tournament in Rabat tomorrow against Burkina Faso at the Prince Moulay Abdoulaye Stadium tomorrow by 9 p.m. Make sure you tune in, make sure you see that match, and also when the Super Falcons of Nigeria start to play, we implore you to watch, support, and give all the glorious accommodations that you can give to them. Moving on, we'll move on to the governing body, FIFA, and also in partnership for the match ball for the 2022 Qatar World Cup. Adidas announced that the official match ball of the FIFA World Cup 2022 will feature new connected ball technology, which will be used to enhance the VAR system by providing an unprecedented level of data and information to match officials for making faster and more accurate decisions on the biggest stages of football. Following its reveal first in March this year, Al-Willa, which they call it, will be the first World Cup official match ball to feature this innovation, providing precise ball data, which will be made available to video match officials in real time. Combined with player position data and applying artificial intelligence, the innovative connected ball technology contributes to FIFA's semi-automated offside technology and offers video assistant referees instantaneous information to help optimize decision-making in the World Cup and in football in general. Well, talking about this, it's been in the world of football has seen major controversy, most especially the offside rule positioning. And then when the VAR was brought into existence a couple of years back, it's also caused a lot more controversy as opposed to what it should be, which is making sure that decisions are much more cut-line, decisions are much more precise. So I'm asking you now, Matthias, and generally to our viewers watching across the world, FIFA is in, they are bringing an innovation. Kudos to FIFA and collaboration with Adidas bringing in this major groundbreaking innovation. First of all, some people will say football is becoming too technological as opposed to how traditional it has been. But if we're looking for the accuracy of the game to quench out the controversies around the offside rule, because it's really been one of the major factors. In the Premier League last season, we had the ruler they always bring out to check if your arm was in check, or your head, or your toes, or anything. Do you think this is a major improvement needed for? I mean, the World Cup is the biggest tournament that football always sees every 4 years. Do you think this? How do you think this is a good addition to the sport? 1, 2. Do you think that it will minimize the errors that football officials have?
Well, I'm one of the school of thought that technology is taking like the natural feel out of the game.
Yeah.
But actually, the World Cup is the biggest stage of football. You can't expect errors flying here and there.
True.
So kudos to Adidas, kudos to FIFA for bringing new innovations that will better the game. Well, putting motion sensors in balls will help like the VAR make better decisions in real time. So I think it's a good innovation coming to football. And you deal with all this stuff like ball passing over the line, you have to use the VAR,
yeah.
All those issues.
And they'll also be making mistakes too.
Yeah, all those issues will be sorted out. I think it will improve decision making. That's what FIFA is trying to do, improve decision making. Because officiating of the game, it can affect the scoreline, it can affect many things. It's a very important factor.
Yeah, we've always known that officiating the football game has always been a major and deciding factor in any sport, basically, most especially football. It's been the leaderboard of some of the highest controversies that football have seen so far. And then we'll shift gears to basketball quickly, where we'll talk about the Tigers. After the ban that was put on them by the federal government has been lifted, the Tigers began their qualifiers for the FIBA World Cup through qualifiers in Kigali. The Nigerian men's basketball team, the Tigers, yesterday went down 70-79 points to Cape Verde at the ongoing FIBA World Cup qualifiers in Kigali, Rwanda. To remain in contention, standing head coach Alan Major says the team must take care of the ball when they face Mali in their next game. He highlighted that the team's turnover ratio and rebound efforts, which he said were responsible for the team's 70-79 loss, despite crediting the team for their resilience and hard work. I mean, you have to give commendation to them. They've not really been in contention for training since the ban has been placed on them. According to FIBA, the top 3 teams from the Tigers group and other groups will advance to the second round of the qualifiers, where each team will play 6 games. The top 2 teams in each group, alongside with the best third-place team, will qualify for the FIBA World Cup in 2023. All right, moving on, we'll shift gears to the transfer corner, which is gears to the transfer window, which has been open. It's been buzzing, it's been bubbling. We've been seeing players changing outfit. We've been seeing players returning back home. We've been seeing players shifting gears to opposition sides. And we're going to start today with Romelu Lukaku, who came from Inter on a big money signing and is now headed back to Inter, where he had all the glory. Some would have said, why would Lukaku even attempt to go back to Chelsea while he had won the Scudetto in Inter Milan, created multiple records, and winning the Serie A Best Player of the Season before heading to the Premier League to Chelsea to want to go and rejuvenate or try to take a revenge back on the league that did not see him as one of the best strikers in the world. Let's talk about Lukaku quickly, Matthias. We have him come to Chelsea. We have him being talked about as one of the best strikers around. I mean, there was clear evidence of how his trail in Inter Milan went. Coming back to Chelsea, he looked significant, like a big player. First couple of games, he really trashed them out, bullied a lot of defenders. And then from, I think the 10th game when he went on injury, that was it. That was off for Lukaku, and now he's back to Inter. What do you see with Lukaku, this back and forth?
Well, I think Lukaku is a typical modern player. He's kind of a player that you have to like manage. He has to feel like the love of the manager. He has to feel like the backing of the manager. I think he got that in Inter with Antonio Conte.
Yes,
Antonio Conte was the kind of manager was like, he expected from him, you didn't expect much from him, you just allowed him go, play your game, do your best, but just give me your best. I'm not expecting too much from you. I think that is the kind of environment Lukaku strives on. Imagine 65 goals in 94 appearances for Inter.
That was glorious.
That was glorious compared to what we saw in Manchester the previous season. And coming back to the Premier League, I knew he wanted to play for Chelsea. Lukaku, I know, because his dream he didn't do well in his first attempt in Chelsea. Coming back to Chelsea, he wanted to he hit the ground running with his first couple of games. Then we saw things after his injury, things started downing a little bit. I feel Lukaku didn't feel the love or the backing of the manager because at the time Kai Havertz was preferred to Lukaku. I think that was what broke the camel's back, in my opinion, with Lukaku.
I mean, you're watching at home, Chelsea fans who had Lukaku throughout the last season. You had him to watch, you wanted him back. I mean, the hashtag round was "Look who's back." Now, look who's gone. So go back to our social media handles and our platforms and pages and let us know what you think about Lukaku staying in Chelsea. How did you think he fared in the Premier League? Do you think he was treated properly in Chelsea, or do you think he needed more attention, like my guest in the studio just said? Moving on to another transfer that shocked me personally was Richarlison switching sides from the toughest to Spurs. I mean, after evading relegation last season, which he was solely one of the biggest part of, he's now shifted gears to Antonio Conte's men in Tottenham. Now, one thing significantly what that Conte does when it comes to a team is he tries to buy into the program of tries to let the management buy into the program of him bringing in his own kind of players. He's brought in Richarlison now, he's brought in Perisic. I mean, it's brought in another goalkeeper. It's looking like Antonio Conte is waging war on the top four next season, which he clearly finished on coming in January. Do you see Antonio Conte in contention for the top four, top three, or even might be shocking winning the league?
Well, Conte have this tradition of winning the league in the second season. So I feel next season, I don't think they have enough power to win the league.
With Son and Kane?
Yeah, I think they have something to win a trophy next season.
But not the league?
Not the league. I hopefully believe that Tottenham can win something next year. It will be their first major trophy season since in years. Then Richarlison going to Everton. I think it's an ambitious move. He's in his prime. He's 25 years old. He scored 10 goals last season for an underwhelming Everton side. He has did his best for the Toffees. And I think it's time to move on because I think it's time to be ambitious in his career. He has to make use of being in his prime and try to get something out of his career. Tottenham is a good place for him, for a young, ambitious Brazilian player. So, definitely. All
right, Mr. Richarlison, ambitious move stated by Matthias is that's what it's going for. I mean, it's been brilliant and everything. And we have Mo Salah, who has just signed a new 3-year deal with Liverpool. I mean, all the Liverpool fans, I'm sure you're not working alone right now as they're happy that their main man has stayed as they had their second main man, Mo Salah, shift gears to Germany. And also, in other news, we have Rafinha from Leeds United, who's been in contention for transfer among some of the biggest clubs in Europe. Arsenal was in front of the deal before Chelsea hijacked that deal. And then we're hearing that Barcelona might also be coming into that deal. But that's all for the transfer corner. Let's move straight to grassroots football. The Meribet 5 Stars Premier League continues this Saturday for the last match, day 7 of the group stages. We have Virtual FC, who have now qualified into the next round of the Meribet 5 Stars Premier League 2022 season. Virtual FC, they made their group with 14 clear points on the log of the table. We have them playing, their last game was against Tough Arena, where they beat Tough Arena 3-0. If you can have the graphics of the Meribet 5 Stars Premier League on. We also have in the Federal Territory, we have 12 Strong FC who have now qualified into the next round from the Federal Territory. They qualified with 13 points after they defeated Matara FC 2-1 in the last couple of games. That's Virtual FC up on your screen. They led the table in the Capital Territory after playing 6 games, winning 4, draw 2, and they lost nothing. While the second team who have qualified into the next round are 12 Strong FC from the Federal Territory. They also defeated Matara FC yesterday 2-1. And then coming up on your screen is the latest update from the match day. That was the result from the match day 6 on Thursday and Friday. We have the qualifiers, Virtual, who have won 3-0. They're there at the bottom with Joe, Frank, David, and Mukhtar scoring for them. And then The Federal Territory, we have 12 Strong FC, who had their goals scored by Mani and Kanuchi after they defeated Matara FC 2-1 as they qualified into the next round. The table is coming up next on your screen for both territories. We have Virtual FC, who have qualified automatically into the next round. 12 Strong FC have also qualified automatically into the next round, with Tio Paul E, Suicide, Tough Arena, and TBT fighting for contention later today in the Capital Territory. And Mess Up, Trinity, Sense Underdogs, and Matara are also fighting for qualification in the Federal Territory. Well, that's all I have for you on the sports segment of the weekend show. But before we go, as we always do, we will walk you through. We went to the street to ask our fans with Onile Corner, Onile Street Pundit, to ask them if you're given a transfer budget. Since we're in the transfer window, why not use the opportunity to ask the pundits and audience on the street, if you're given a transfer budget, well, how would you spend it on your preferred team? Matthias, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Ayo.
All right, then we'll leave you with the Onile content, where we asked our fans how they felt on how they would use their transfer budget if given to them. Stay with us. See you next week. Bye-bye.
I'm an Arsenal fan. I would suggest them to buy Koulibaly. He's a team leader of a team. He can tell you what to play and what not to play at the present time, because that's the kind of player Arsenal need at this point in time.
I'm a Chelsea fan. I would like Chelsea to buy a Sevilla defender named Conte. The guy is versatile on ball, and he has the knowledge and experience to control a ball, and he's very smart on the ball.
I'm a Chelsea fan. I will sign Cristiano Ronaldo, Thiago Alcantara. I love this playing. I love you so much.
I'm a Man United fan. I would really wish they can take Rudiger from Chelsea, that is presently at Real Madrid, to Manchester United. I would also like them to take someone like Thiago Silva, because we need someone like experienced defenders, someone like that.
If I have the opportunity of a budget to do transfer, I would love to do transfer of a particular player. His name is N'Golo Kante. The reason why is a spectacular player. His ability from the defense into the midfield, and also his supportive role into the attack, is clinical and is one of the best around the world. So if I have a budget, N'Golo Kante will be my man in Chelsea. Thank you.